This week, JJ looks at Adelaide and he's very, very bullish, to be honest. Not much rain about. He thinks the track's going to play really well, so he's keen to have his 4 selections, so make sure you get around that. I go to Moonee Valley. Really interesting because we've got the Friday night beforehand. Just see how much irrigation goes on this track and how I think this track's going to play. It's going to be really interesting. So just keep that in mind as well because not much rain about. They're going to have to do something to this track. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very fast, which we actually like. So there's a bit in the intel of Moonee Valley. We give our sets, don't snap, snaps. JJ's got a couple of snaps this week, so I'd be getting out and punting those pretty early because those prices will absolutely diminish. Pin the tail, it's 9.5 my way. There is no can. Usually I get it thrown at me and I just catch it like that and never dropped it except for the first week. But Charlotte's not even paying attention. She doesn't have the can, so there's no can this week. See you later, punters. Hello and welcome to the Jules and JJ show. My name is Julian Valence, joined, not on set, but obviously in the Adelaide Hills by James Jordan. JJ, how's the week been? You got through it okay? No issues?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad, Jules. Thanks for asking, mate. No, can't really complain. It's been all right, actually. As I said to you off camera, I got a new range of Adidas clothing in, which I'm wearing. So things are good, mate.
So the truck, obviously the shipments come off a little bit askew and you've got a man that has some very hot hands, I'm assuming.
People pot these factory seconds, but I reckon there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, of course, no doubt. Yeah, seconds, and then seconds again if you get them through the right hands. All right, let's get into the track intel, punters. Right, you kick us off here with the track analysis for Morphettville, JJ. What do you got for the punters out there?
No rain around this week, so good for typically the outside track sort of holds its moisture. So if they do irrigate, I think it'll stay in the 4 range, not an overly hot day, which is good. Rails 6 metres from the 1,000 to the winning post. It's 3 metres the remainder. It was 3 metres last time they raced and it raced pretty fairly. They used a bit of the track. Wind between 15 and 20 kilometre northerly. I'd like to be more exact with that, but you've told me I can't be. I think
well, if for all 9 races, my friend, it's 18 kilometres an hour, and I'll be checking whatever devices there are, and if it is, going forward, we can be specific to the correct kilometre. Otherwise, let's just give a bit of a range. Within 5 kilometres, you're freak.
Yeah, some of us like perfection. Other people just want to win the pin the tail segment. I get that. But I think the intel...
Win it.
Let me finish. The intel here, I reckon it'll be fair. I wouldn't be penalising wide gates or back markers. And if the breeze does kick up a little bit and just 0.1 above that 18 kilometre forecast that I've given, then maybe horses with cover in the chute will be slightly advantaged. But I think you can punt away. Don't be too concerned with any bias.
All right, that's good intel there for Morphettville. Seems like it's going to be a fair track, so you can bet with confidence on Saturday. Moonee Valley, true position the entire circuit, good for. Very similar to the Adelaide setup, no real rain about, and this is going to be the interesting thing. So for the punters out there, look, no wind either, which I think is important, but we've got to understand that this is a 2-day carnival. We race Friday night, we race Saturday at Moonee Valley with no rain expected. 5 mils, this is obviously recorded Thursday morning. There was 5 mils put on the track last night. I think there'll be obviously some more irrigation today. There'll be probably more irrigation Friday morning, probably before the races start Friday night. This is really, really important how much they're going to put on. And I think it's going to impact this track to whichever way it goes. And there's a few factors for that. So I'm expecting it to be even as is. But if they don't put that much irrigation on, what's going to happen is from that Friday night, the track compacts wherever they're going to be. So lanes 1, 2, 3 probably going to be the advantage. So we get into Cox Plate Day, I think you want to be on speed in those lanes 1, 2, 3. If we get to a point on Friday and they're running really blistering times and maybe 5 or 6 of the leaders have won, and then the track staff get a bit of pressure from external noise, which I just can't cop. At the end of the day, the curators are there to do their job, and if it's a fast track, it's a fast track. That's the way it should be. And they irrigate some more, then there is the possibility that lanes 1 and 2 might be off on Cox Plate Day because they've just had to water a little bit extra. So you're going to have to keep an eye on the irrigation levels. Obviously, it goes up on riser how much they put on. it's going to be really crucial, especially I think after Friday night's racing, what actually happens Saturday. So keep an ear out. We might actually put some stuff on social as well. Yes, mate.
I've got to. So what I reckon will happen, I'd take short odds that Friday night it's firm. Like they'll run fast times, the 955s. They'll go very quick, and it's because they don't want to chop the track up for the Saturday, so they don't probably water it as much as they ordinarily would for a race meeting. So I think that's why it's fraught with danger having a back-to-back meeting. And you're spot on. If they don't water it enough and it's leaderish, it'll be a fast deck Friday night. I'd be on leaders, and if that's the case, you're right. They'll water it, and then the minor indentations will be closer to the fence, and it'll be softer on the inside Saturday. But do they have to just say, look, we're going to water it as we should on the Friday night? It won't be as firm as it has been. They might mark it a bit, and then they'll move off on the Saturday. I'd almost rather that than not watering it Friday, having a road, firm track, horses from the front winning, and then go, oh, we better water it more. And then it becomes a bit of a dog's breakfast.
It's become really interesting with these, and we're actually going to talk about this in our Fox Factors a little bit later, but it's become really interesting here, JJ, in the fact that these big clubs want their carnivals. So, for example, we've just come from Caulfield. They had the 3 days. They had the Guineas Day. Then they got that Wednesday meeting in between where the rail actually goes out 12 metres, has some impact, and then obviously you go Cup Day. Moonee Valley the night before on a big Cox Plate day that goes all around the world. It's known as an international big Group 1. They've taken away the Group 1. And now I'm just like, do we need this meeting at all? This is the thing that obviously it's great for the race club. They get bucket loads of cash. It just concerns me of how we're going to have this track presented on Saturday. And it's not the curator's fault at all. They're doing the best that they can do. It's what the cards they're dealt.
They're trying to save a buck by having the marquees get put up once, we get to use them twice. All the the food trucks, we use them twice. Everything gets used twice, so it's great. In a dollar sense, how much? I'd love to know how much. In a dollar sense, if it's 100,000 or 150,000 or something, and you've got a tarnished track for one of the biggest race days on the calendar, is it worth it? I don't know. Anyway,
I'd want to be in the millions, is what I'm saying, because otherwise, I think it impacts turnover too much. Anyway. We finally got there. That's the intel for Morphettville and for Moonee Valley. Beware Moonee Valley. It's going to be really interesting going forward. Okay, leads us to Fox Factors this week, JJ, and sort of signal with the fact of multiple day carnivals. So as we talk about, Caulfield has the 3-day carnival. You can even go back to in May, Warrnambool has their 3-day carnival. We've got Moonee Valley this week, and obviously you've got Flemington coming up where they have sort of 4 days in a week's period. It's so important when you are looking at your form not to just treat it as one day by themselves, because they're not. There end up being, Cox Plate's going to be, I think, the 18th race or the 19th race of, a 21 or a 20, race day card. It's really crucial to look at certain things like weather conditions. Now, weather conditions are going to be very good for this week, for tonight. But if there were for this Friday, Saturday, if there was rain, it's definitely going to impact the way the track plays. The other part to that is the weather conditions obviously then impact how much irrigation goes on to a track. Does that flow into certain parts of lanes that it shouldn't otherwise? Again, so important. Track compaction, I think, something that is really important with these carnival days. And obviously finding lanes. We saw it at Caulfield. We know that the southerly kicked up Guineas Day, well, that was the first day, that you had to be sort of on speed lanes 1 and 2. But Cup Day, it was probably more pronounced. We just didn't talk about it that much. That lanes 3, 4, 5 were absolutely rolled gold and 6+ were gonzo. Now, they're probably 6+ gonzo on Guineas Day. You need to understand and factor that in when you've got these multiple day carnivals to try and find the pattern early, because it's going to help you. And there will be a pattern at Moonee Valley Friday night into Saturday. You've got to be able to find it really quickly, I think, to be able to get ahead of the market, because it's really important, because we know the big guys out there will be doing that. Is there anything else you look at for multiple day carnivals when you're trying to work out, okay, what's going to impact my betting and possibly the edges you might already have?
No, I definitely look at it. You mentioned Warrnambool, obviously. You're probably the first day of the carnivals is where you've got to be a bit careful. Once you've seen them once, obviously for the next day, you've got a good guide either way. But the first day is when they can, sometimes do things differently than they would if it was just a one single standalone meeting. So the other thing is it's probably going to get worse. It's getting worse, and it's going to get worse because there's so much scrutiny now, public scrutiny on the tracks. Racing is an excuse-based business. If a horse runs terribly, they either blame normally the jockey or the track. The trainer doesn't come out and say, yeah, I probably galloped it one too many times, I stuffed that up. It's either the jockey or the track.
Yeah.
So it's always under the microscope. So people carry on about it. Broadsiding should have won. It was just the track. It's like, okay, why isn't everyone going for the front then and it evens up? So there's a lot of scrutiny on. So they start, the track curators, it used to be probably a job no one's heard of. Now everyone knows the curators by name.
Yeah.
You know, he does a great job, Liam. You know, like everyone knows them. It's bizarre because they're so heavily scrutinised, which means that, you know, things they're probably doing things slightly differently under a bit of pressure and not just doing what they ordinarily would.
Yep. All right. So that's the Fox factors for this week. It's going to be really important, especially into Moonee Valley and also Flemington coming up soon, punters. All right, Group 1 sets. We kick off with the Cox Plate market behind me, JJ. Prognosis favourite, but since they sort of went up, probably barrier draw Tuesday, he's been on the drift. Via Sistine has been well supported probably throughout the week. And then obviously, you know, there's plenty of other chances in this race. Pride of Jenny, Mr. Brightside, you can go on with broadsiding and those kinds of horses. From a map perspective, it is what it is. Pride of Jenny's going to roll forward. That's what we know what's going to do. It just depends how far she's in front of the others. Who's going to be that horse that's probably going to drag them up? It's unknown. Maybe a 3-year-old like Evaporate might be the one that sort of wants to go forward and probably that's its best chance to hang on. What we're going to do is, just for the punters out there, we're just going to go, unless you've got something different on that map or you want to add something that you think might be interesting for the punters out there, JJ?
I think from a map perspective, and we've seen it in previous races with Pride of Jenny, if something goes and chases her and carts the field up, it makes it a lot easier for the back markers. Royal Patronage is probably map-wise, Royal Patronage would be the most important horse in the race. So that's all I'll add to that.
Yep, that's fair. All right, we're just going to go through each runner. And instead of saying why a horse can win and can't win, at the end of the day, they all sort of can win and they can all sort of lose. So we're not going to go through that and bore you with that. We're just going to spit out our prices that we have for each horse and go from there. And if you've got any comment to make, JJ, throughout the horse for whatever reason you might have, we'll go from there. But you can kick us off with Mr. Brightside. Price?
$15.
$11 for me. Prognosis, as we've said, the Japanese horse, we know he's had the ability to miss the start. From all reports, that is a lesser known jockey. Damien Lane goes in the saddle, reportedly doing a lot of work in the barriers with Prognosis. So that's an interesting factor, but his time form's 124 plus. Last sort of horse to come out with something like that, Liga Assure, who is also from Japan, the mare, was 127. She started $2.50 and put a hole in them on Cox Plate Day. Your price, Prognosis?
$260. I know she won't start that short, but I've got to mark $260. I think I can line her up with Romantic Warrior. I saw an article saying, the camp saying that they think she's akin to him, and people sort of were laughing about it. But I don't know why. It's 2 runs in Hong Kong against him at his home deck. I thought Prognosis ran better than him probably. Once it was a complete slaughter, and once things didn't quite go to plan. But I think it's got a great chance.
Yep. Absolutely. I've marked him favourite in mine, but he's $3.60 with me. Kovalika.
31, just has to find a couple of lengths.
$17, he's a bet. Royal Patronage.
70 to 1, don't like it.
50 to 1, can't have him. Docklands.
Put 18 there, but I'd be skewed by the market. If it jumped 26, I wouldn't be backing it.
Yeah, I'm 50 to 1, so I'm sort of an outlier with Docklands. Market's very much against me in terms of that. They want to be with him. I'm happy to be against him, that horse. Pride of Jenny.
750. Just, I think if Patronage can tag it up, it probably brings her unstuck. If they ride Patronage for a placing and don't go out after it, then she should be shorter.
$6 for me, Pride of Jenny. Via Sistina.
550. Now, this is obviously, like, I look at the flux. 11:45 on Wednesday, the horse with one bookmaker was 5 into 360 in one cut. Another bookmaker, exactly the same time, 550 into 440. So one of 2 punters in Australia has backed that horse yesterday at 11:45. There's some intel for you. They're generally pretty good, that punter. So expect it to be fancy.
I can touch on that a little bit more. JJ's right. It's one of 2 punters that has done that, and that 1 or 2 punters would be by far and away the best punters in Australia in the moment, especially with the removal of another certain punter that was probably in the game 5 years ago. these two have definitely taken over the mantle from a modelling point of view and absolutely destroy it. And they do bet early into these races. So that is very good intel there. Broadsiding.
$9. Just thought his last start was plain. I know he's a 3-year-old with a light weight, but I don't know. If you're not making a case for Evaporate, probably broadsiding's a bit of a stretch at $6, I reckon.
$8.50 for me, broadsiding, and Evaporate for you.
40 to 1.
And we're very different there. I've got him 14 to 1. So there are our prices. Anything else you want to say about the race? And you're obviously, with the pricing you've got of Prognosis, you'll be backing him. Will you save anything else, or is that all in Prognosis for you in the Cox Plate?
Prognosis, I've got him marked so much shorter than the market. He's the only horse I've backed. He's sort of 380 at the moment. We'll see what happens tomorrow, but I thought that was good odds. So I've had something at 380 Prognosis. Of the others, I don't think I'll be backing anything else. Like if Via Sistina, is $6 on the day or $5.50, which I doubt will happen, then I could entertain her. But no, it'll be Prognosis for me all the way.
Yeah, so the way I'm going to play this race is I'm going to probably play into Quinella's Exactas, Prognosis, Evaporate, Kovalica. I just think those other two horses, I know they don't have the form lines of these other ones. Just think there's a chink in all of those other horses' armours, and I just want to play in that and hopefully get a result. So that's the way I'm playing the Cox Plate, JJ's with Prognosis. Let's get up to Sydney because there's another Group 1 up there, JJ, again over the 2,000 metres for the 3-year-old called the Spring Champion Stakes. Look, I found this race incredibly difficult, just very quickly from a map perspective. I thought this map was really ugly as well to try and work out what's going to roll forward. Horses like Noises, I don't think Firm Agreement's going to go there. I think it's going to come down to Melbourne by all reports. Like Rag Queen with the blinkers first time, are they going to try and ride that horse positive even though it hasn't shown much speed? And Swift Falcon just has to go back to last. There's nothing else they can do with that horse. That's just what's going to happen. So I thought it was a messy map. And I also thought because it was a messy map, I didn't really know if it was going to be a genuine speed. And if it wasn't going to be a genuine speed, then the favourite Swift Falcon might have it all ahead of him. It was a race I just didn't want to have a part of, to be honest. I just found it really, really tricky. Did you have any insight here that you could give to the punters about this race?
Yeah, well, from a map perspective, I reckon Noises. I've got Noises crossing and leading. Harlem Queen from 7 going forward probably ends up box seating. El Costello works across. El Costello wants to have a map advantage on Swift Falcon. I think if they're too close together in the run, they're probably aware that Swift Falcon will go past it. So they want to have a map advantage. They'll go forward, I think, on it. And I agree with you. Swift Falcon probably goes back to last from that wide gate. Really, it comes down to, I've got not much between, I'll tell you the prices. I've got El Costello 100% price, $4, and Swift Falcon $3.65. I've got Henleen $7.50 and Harlem Queen $6.75. The rest I probably couldn't back. Firm Agreement, I think, at 20s is probably over the odds, but if it doesn't go there, then obviously it's trivial talking about it. I will probably, if I have a bet, it'll be on either El Costello or Swift Falcon, and it will depend on what I've seen earlier in the day. If they're making ground easily from the back, I'll probably want to back Swift Falcon as long as it's bigger than $3.70. Otherwise, if it's hardish to make ground and El Costello's sort of north of $4, I could back it. If neither of those things happen with the prices, I won't have a bet.
Yep. All right. That's the Group 1 set. Obviously, the Cox Plate in Melbourne and the Spring Champion Stakes in Sydney. Righto, JJ, let's get to your SA set. Just before I start, let's go. So since July 20, which was episode 1 when we first sort of came across to PointsBet, level staking all selections, return on investment, profit on turnover, plus 46% for you. So that's just doing it from that. I think it's been about 15 Saturdays we've done. That's where we sit with your staking. So kick us away. I think you've got 4 this week.
I've got 4 this week, you're right. First one I'm pretty keen on as well. Divino Cavallo is the horse. It's in a maiden. It's the first race of the card, often on Saturdays, is a maiden. This is a horse that comes over from Victoria. Robbie Griffiths and Matt de Kock train it. Jump outs have been solid. Its latest jump out was really solid. It just sort of cruised along, let down nicely, put the race to bed, the jump out to bed quickly. I think it's a really nice horse. I think it's a moderate sort of race. It's drawn an inside gate, lob in behind them. I think it'll be very hard to beat Divino Cavallo. So happy to back it. It's $4 at present. I don't think that'll stick around for long. Race 2 is a horse that we've tipped in the past. It's called Dolcemente. We tipped it each way at Murray Bridge a couple of weeks ago. It was good. Probably went to the inside hard against the fence where the A ground wasn't, but sort of worked to the line strongly over 1400. That was second up. They go third up to 1800 on Saturday. Just think it's the improver in this field. The lightweight's going to suit it as well. It should be able to absorb any tempo and it should help it run out that 1800. It's a nice horse going forward. I probably want 320, 330 to back it. It's about $3, $3.10 at the moment. So look for a drift, but I'm happy to back Dolcemente if it does in race 2. Race 6, a mare that's in form. Shades went on and Jake Torote went on last start. Zarkana is the horse. It's a lazy horse, but he got the best out of it. Not sure if it was the Shades or the Vigorous Rider, but it certainly went a lot better for him. So Zarkana in race 6, I do like. And in race 8, Privileged Sun. It's a stayer that's absolutely flying. Michelle and Patrick Payne train it. It's been over to Adelaide before and won impressively. It's been back in Melbourne its last few. Gee, it's been racing well. It's a thin race. It'll settle at the back, but there's good tempo. I think it's a really good chance as well. So happy to tip you into Privileged Sun in race 8. There's 4 of them. Race 1, Divino Cavallo. Race 2, Dolcemente. Race 6, Zarkana. And race 8, Privileged Sun. Hopefully 2 of the 4 can win. 3 of the 4's cream.
Beautiful. That's JJ's SA set, which is in behind me as well. All right, let's get to my Victorian set. And again, like we do with JJ, we're accountable here at Foxcatcher. So since July 20, episode 1, level staking all my selections in the Vic set, return on investment, profit and turnover, whatever you want to call it, plus 43%. So again, we're going okay. We have some peaks and troughs, but that plus 43% does seem to be stacking up throughout that period of time. All right, Moonee Valley Saturday. Going to play in this race twice. It's race 3. Just because I think Seascape is just far too short and I'm just hard against it coming down from Sydney, 5th run prep. Just doesn't really got any figures behind it. So I'm with the 7 Certain Rise, currently favourite. Look, got beaten on debut, but that was by a horse called Lofty Arch, which has got some great potential and probably runs into Coolmore. Then a next start at Mornington, absolutely demolished and went to the front, but also really quick time. So fast horse around Moonee Valley, I want to be with it. And just in the same race, you're sort of getting $6, $5.50 around a horse called Savagery Vibe. Look, it won on debut, big tip for it, was okay, didn't rate through the roof. And then at second start, didn't have much luck at all behind First Settler up the straight. Now that race didn't rate that well, but I just like the camp, Nick Ryan's camp. Zara goes on. I'm absolutely petrified that if I just back Certain Rise, I think I have to be with Savagery Vibe. I think one of them win in race 3. Race 5, number 4, Kingswood. This horse, 2 runs this prep. Knocked your boy off actually first up, JJ, at Sandown on grand final day in a slowly run race. Best last 400, 200 of the day. Then that was just a benchmark 78. Then went to the Coonji, which is a Group 3 race on the minimum. Again, really slowly run race. Best overall figures of the day, last 400, 200 for Kingswood. Look, from gate 1, it's a little bit of a trick. Going to need some luck, and I think it's going to be also a bit more of a tempo in this race. Horses like Future History will probably go a little bit quicker, try and get this horse out of his comfort zone. I just think he's a very, very good racehorse. He's a grey horse that absolutely loves dry tracks. You don't hear that too often, but I want to be with Kingswood on Cox Plate Day in race 5. And for the thrill seekers out there, in race 7, number 9, there's a horse called Extra 2. Bit bigger out there early doors, but a couple of astute people might have knocked that off. $16, sort of $3.80 to play, something like that for Extra 2. She's going to run really well for you. She didn't have much luck last start behind that Aviatrix race that we put in the Fox's Den as the race to follow. She was wide, had no luck at all. They draw gate 1, James McDonald. I think they'll just ride for luck. You'll either get it or we won't get it. But I think they'll ride for luck, and I think a few of these horses might just be done for the prep. So I'm happy to be with Extra 2 each way in race 7. That's my set for Victoria, Moonee Valley in particular. Snap or don't snap time, JJ. We've got 6 in total. I've got 3. They're all don't snaps, and I think you've got 3, maybe 1 snap, 2 don't snaps. I'll start. We've been going 57 of 68, so great overall record of getting which way the prices are going to go. Race 2, Moonee Valley, a horse called Ikasara. Now, it's going to get the map condition. It's going to roll forward. But around that $3, $3.10, $3.20, I think you're going to get a better price about it, Ikasara. So I'd just be holding. And I think it'll be popular, but I just think you'll get a better price about it. Spoke about this horse in race 3, Mooney Valley, a horse called Seascape. Again, it's around that $4.20, $4.40 mark. If you like it, go for your life, but just wait to the death. I think you get a better price than that. And in race 5, we're with Kingswood, there's a horse called Gear Up, around that $5, $5.50 again. I sort of got a little bit closer than to double figures. So if you like that horse, again, I think you'll get a better price about that. So they're the 3 for me at Mooney Valley. As I said, just hold off on them. I think you'll get better prices. JJ, I think your first might be a snap, and then you go to don't snaps.
I got 2 snaps and 1 don't snap, but the first one is a snap.
Yeah, you're actually right. Correct.
Race number 1, Divino Cavallo, $4. I think it'll start. I don't think it'll start any bigger than 3. Might even start shorter. I really like it. So race 1, Divino Cavallo, I reckon take the $4. Don't snap. Race number 7, Pure Bliss, $8.50. Sort of resumes here. Average trial at Strathalbyn. None of its races have really rated that well. It's about $8.50 at the moment. It's drawn an inside gate, drawn 1, which I don't think will be an advantage. I think it'll drift. It certainly starts double figures. And the last one is a snap in race number 8, Privileged Sun. I mentioned it in the set. I think $3.40 is a good price. I think it'll be very hard to beat. Might start $3 or shorter. So I'm snapping race 1, Divino Cavallo, and race 8, Privileged Sun. If you want to back Pure Bliss in race 7, I suggest you wait.
All right, beautiful. So there's the 6 snaps or don't snaps for this weekend, punters. I always get a bit of a grin when I do this segment, but I shouldn't really. But we get to pin the tail again. Just quickly, JJ, there was a wordsmith that said if you want to have a rainbow, you've got to put up with the rain. And that wordsmith, do you know who that was?
No.
Yeah, it was Dolly Parton. She also gave us 9 to 5, and that's actually the score right now of our Pin the Tail. Last week, it was Pride of Jenny. She ended up SPing $2.70. You went with $2.40. I went with $2.80. The way the mathematical world works, it is that I would be closer. So that makes that 9-5, that leaderboard. This week, we're going prognosis. Now, we have got some real depth here in terms of there's going to be a clear-cut winner, and I don't know which one it'll be, to be honest. I've gone with $3.50, and you're going with?
$2.50. Now, you'd have to say you're in the box seat at the moment. You reckon you can get $3.80 around the traps. But in the annals of history, Jules, they'll never remember the AFLX winner, the premiership. They'll look for the Brownlow medalists, the Norm Smiths, the premierships. No one cares about the AFLX but you. So it may be. No,
you're right.
It may be.
I don't know what other bit you're winning though. I don't know where else you're winning though in anything. This is the problem. I don't remember people that keep finishing last
to the front, and they'll say it should have been 6 to 4. They'll be chanting my name from the grandstand as you'll be there going, it's actually 10-5 now. They'll tip you overboard, mate. I think you may win this week, but the war rages on.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting because I don't know if I will win this week, because another factor that I think we need to factor in is it's obviously a world pool race. Now, those world pools go heavily into Hong Kong, and you would think that Prognosis would be a horse that they would know really well. We saw it last year with Romantic Warrior. He was really short across the totes, and obviously that's going to have some impact on the fixed price with some of the corps at some stage throughout betting. So as much as you can look at yours right now,
what do you think would be the worst result for the bookies? I would be happy to bet that Via Sistina, Pride of Jenny, Mr. Brightside will all be worse results for the bookies in prognosis.
No, there is no doubt they're going to want to lay him. They will want to lay him, won't they? Because they will have, because they're talking horses, in particular the 3 that you mentioned. Well, probably 2 in particular, Brightside and Pride of Jenny. I reckon they, as much as, especially because that action was done on Wednesday by that pro, they might have Via Sistina actually running for them as well, a few of these corps, I would think. But I think they'll have big losses, Mr. Brightside and Pride of Jenny. And I think eventually they'll probably have Prognosis and possibly even Via Sistina running for them, just because I think they'll have massive holds on those other 2. Because, as you say, they're just massive talking horses, aren't they?
Yep.
It doesn't matter where they're going to run. People are just going to back them because, hey, I know those horses and they've been good to me in the past. So it's going to be a really interesting market to see what actually happens. But even though it does look it's going to go a certain way, be interesting if the big guys really want to launch into this horse, which they have done. Let's not forget, Ligue Rocher sort of sat around 3.10, 3.20, even 3.30. It's very similar time, and she got hammered into $2.50 and won accordingly. So there has been precedent there for a horse of a similar nature. Anyway, that's the pin the tail this week. Plays of the day, JJ. I'll kick us off because my race is just a little bit ahead of yours. In race 5, Moonee Valley, Kingswood. This will be his third run from the prep. Stays at 2,000 metres here, which I love. Second run, 2,000 metres into the prep is usually the best. He is coming off 2 really slowly run races, and then he zipped home, been afforded every opportunity to zip home. But what I have loved is his last 400, 200 has been the best of the day by far, which is a positive sign. Yes, he might have to do it in a bit of a faster run race. Yes, he may have to get out of a pocket at some stage, Johnny Allen, gate 1. I'm happy to take the risk with him. I think he's a very top-class horse, Kingswood. I want to back him. You?
I'm gone with race 8, Privileged Son. I probably would have, if I had have known that Divino Cavallo was definitely going to run, I probably would include it. So there's not much between them, but race 1, Divino Cavallo, and race 8, Privileged Son. They're the 2 I like. I'll go with Privileged Son, having to label one because I'm sure it's going to run, but they'll both be very hard to beat.
That's the plays of the day for this weekend. Okay, we get to the last segment here. It's Stupid as a Fox. As we put in the Stupid as a Fox, it's sort of a little bit of tongue-in-cheek because it's an outstanding product that PointsBet have on their own. The hourly Quaddie, every hour on the hour, you put in your, the races come up, 4 races, you put in your selections and it pays out on the SP of each. It just multiplies up. We're going to do the Saturday 1 p.m. hourly Quaddie, JJ. So it kicks us off. And the reason why I did that was because I think there's a bit of value in those Randwick Highway and Midway races. They're the one where just any old horse can win, and we're going to play into them. And the race that sort of sat perfectly was race 3 for me, where I thought there weren't many chances. And then obviously it plays into yours for race 2. So I'll just quickly go through those numbers that we have selected for the hourly Quaddie, 1 p.m. Saturday, PointsBet only. Randwick race 2, we're going to go with 4, 11, 13, 15. Now, this is a wide open event, so we're going skinny. We get this first leg. I think we're kicked off well. Then we go Plain Valley, and I think we just get this with 7, 8, 11. I'm throwing in 11 as just the left field horse at a massive price. Morphettville race 2, I don't know if you have the numbers there. You did give them to me. I remembered it. But do you have them on hand?
I do.
You can
1,
say to
3, 4, and 7 are the numbers. That's Dolcemente's race. They're the 4 chances I think we should have it covered.
Yep, beautiful. And then we go to another highway or midway, whatever they are at Randwick again. And if we're 3 legs in, I think we're going to have this for a bit of cash going here, punters. So Randwick race 3, 3, 4, 12, 14 and 17. They're a bit of fun, but if you do like playing quaddies, you can play them all throughout the day at PointsBet. So that is a good product. Well done to the BB team there. JJ, we're done for the week. Appreciate your time. Good luck with the plaster and good luck with the dog.
Yeah, the dog's in the bad books. He's just behind the screen here, cowering. But no, hopefully, I've got a good feeling about this card on Saturday in Adelaide. I think we can get a couple of winners, and I'm really looking forward to the Cox Plate. It's for me the best race in Australia. It's better than the Melbourne Cup, more interesting for sure. So I'm looking forward to a ripping day's racing.
Beautiful. Sets up for a belter weekend in particular. Obviously, the Cox Plate. I think there's going to be some fireworks with Pride of Jenny. You've got the Japanese horse. You've got the 3-year-olds. There's plenty of intrigue. You've got Via Sistina doing 58 laps of the track on Tuesday morning just to add a little bit more intrigue. I don't think that'll affect her at all. But anyway, good luck, punters. See you soon. Thanks for watching, punters. Yeah, it was Charlotte. She didn't give me the can, so it's all her fault. Please like and subscribe.
Imagine what you could be buying instead.
For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.